I would start Wan-Bissaka.
That's a big call.
No,
That's a
yeah,
big call.
I know.
No, oh
Yeah,
my,
yeah.
no.
It's kind of like Prince. Shout out Prince.
Sterling does not get anywhere near this starting 11.
A little bit of club bias. I've gone Rob Holding.
First episode of the Chinwag podcast. Welcome to my podcast, Warren.
Thanks, Ali. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Weather's amazing. It's a lovely day for a podcast.
So let's get right into it about the England squad, reaction to the England squad.
Let's go.
So I want you to choose your England squad first. Mm-hmm. Who's your goalkeepers?
Okay. Do you want to go position by position?
Yeah, so goalkeepers, defenders,
Okay.
midfielders,
Well,
and attackers.
I did this before the squad announcement. Obviously, we're recording this the day of the Champions League final. So the squad, what is it, 30 man? 33.
33, yeah.
33 man squad's been announced. So we know now that Pope is injured. He's had his knee surgery. So I had Pope in there. So I would say Pickford and Henderson definitely. Now that Pope is injured, I would probably go Sam Johnston.
Yeah, I'd say Henderson for me, Pickford.
Yeah.
I would have had Pope in there as well.
Yeah.
But like now Pope's injured. It was between Johnston, Ramsdale, like Gareth Southgate done.
Yeah.
But I definitely picked Johnston over Ramsdale. He had a better season.
Yeah.
And he's I think he's better overall goalkeeper. So
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, you're the goalkeeper, so you should.
I
so you should know.
completely agree. And he's been so busy this season behind that West Brom defence. I think he's one of the top 2 keepers for saves this season in the league. So I think he deserves it. It's been a long road. What was he was at United years ago.
Then he went to Villa, and now he's at
Yeah,
West
he
Brom.
deserves it, I think.
So let's get on to defenders.
All right.
I've chosen 9 defenders.
Okay.
So I'll go first.
Go on.
So I've got 3 right backs. I've got Kyle Walker,
Yeah.
Trent, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, okay. All right. So I can bounce mine off that then. I've gone Trent, Walker, and Reece James.
No, oh
Yeah,
my,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
no, no, no,
I'll tell you what.
no, 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 no.
What's Wan-Bissaka versus Reece James?
Walker and Trent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're certain.
Yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
certain
Yeah,
to go.
100%, yeah.
But Wan-Bissaka,
Yeah.
we're playing against some of the best teams. When we get out of the group, yeah, we'll probably play like Portugal.
Yeah.
I think it's Portugal or around something like Portugal, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're trusting Reece James to go against who's going to play left wing for Portugal, Jota or whoever, yeah? Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best one-on-one defender in the world.
Do you know what? I don't disagree with that. My logic, I think, is if we're already playing 3 at the back, we know what Southgate's going to do with the midfield, and he's going to stack it with defensive midfielders anyway. So we want what we're saying there is we're going to play basically a back 5 and 2 defensive midfielders, and just rely on the front 3 to do everything. And I think if we try and do that, then we're going to get knocked out in an awful 1-0. And it's going to be awful to watch.
I mean, have you seen the draw? Like, the Germany, France and Portugal are the group that we will play in the next round. So we will play one of Germany, Portugal and France, I think, because the 3rd best team in 4 out of the 6 groups will go through. So we will play Portugal, maybe Spain in the next, if we get through Portugal, and then it's just looking mad. So that's why, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the guy to take, for me anyway, ahead of Reece James. Because if you're looking at it, I know United finished 2nd. I'm not saying that's the only thing. He's started so many games, and Reece James has rotated with Aspi quite a lot. But I think Wan-Bissaka is the guy to take. He's the best one-on-one defender. Maybe a bit of Man United bias.
I can see the
because
logic. I can see the logic, and it wasn't an easy decision. Like, it's not like I feel like Southgate has just completely disregarded Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, that's wrong.
He was definitely in the conversation, but for me, yes, he's a great one-on-one defender, but I think the reason he has to make so many tackles is because he is caught out of position much.
But he still makes those tackles. You see,
Again, I don't disagree, but I feel like
I saw a
eventually-
stat that Wan-Bissaka's got more assists than James, more goals. I don't know if it's more goals, more assists, more tackles, and he's just wiped the floor with Reece James. Reece James is good on the ball, but you've got Trent for that. You've got Walker for that. I would start Wan-Bissaka in a back 4 against like Croatia, and then when we play Scotland, start Trent, because obviously Wan-Bissaka is not as good as Trent.
And I guess that's the conversation: is what is Southgate going to do? I feel like he's going to stick with his back 3, he's not going to switch to a back four because it will just complicate things. And I guess a lot of my squad, I think, can play in multiple positions. So Wan-Bissaka is a right back and that's it. Whereas Reece James can play left wing back. He can play right centre back. He did it. Was it the FA Cup that he did it? And he did a pretty good job of it. So I guess for me more than anything, I don't think he's going to start regardless. I think Trent is the starting fullback.
Oh, okay. We'll move on to starting 11 in a bit. But
yeah, all right.
We'll move on to that.
I won't get ahead of myself. Right. Right backs, there's a lot to be discussed. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think Wan-Bissaka's the guy. But anyway, moving on to the centre backs.
Yeah.
So who have you got as your centre backs?
So I've gone with 4.
Yeah.
With the logic that Walker can play there.
Yeah.
Reece James can play there. So I've gone Maguire, obviously. We're hoping that he's fit because obviously he didn't play the Europa League final. I think John Stones has had a really good season. How much of that is due to Ruben Dias is another question entirely. But for me, then it was just those two are dead set.
Yeah.
There's any number of other ones. I want a left-sided centre-half just to help us play out from the back. So I've gone Connor Cody over Tyrone Mings.
So what are your 4 centre backs then?
And then Cody, Maguire, Stones, and I've gone Ben Godfrey.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I don't know. We'll see
I've
what you're
gone-
saying.
Maguire and Stones, obviously.
Yeah.
That's just set.
Yeah.
I've gone Mings
All right.
and Cody. I think Cody is a good choice. We both agree on Cody.
Yeah.
So he can play in a back 3.
Yeah.
He's like, if we play a back 2, Cody is not playing.
No,
no chance
No,
whatsoever.
I agree.
But Mings, left-footed guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you need, but like it will be ideal to have a left-footed centre back.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when you have Maguire there, obviously he's got a decent left foot.
Yeah.
But you always cut back in.
Yeah.
And you need that guy to come down the line. It's like having a right-footed left back.
Yes. No, I agree.
And that's why no one should take Trippier, just because he can play left back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
Trippier's not there.
Not getting a look in. Not at all. It's interesting. I think I agree we need a left-footed centre-back, which is why I've gone Cody, but you've gone both Mings and Cody. I'm coming back to this. I can't see Southgate playing 4 at the back. All the way through the qualifiers, he's done 5.
If Maguire is fit, he will play Stones and Maguire, I think. But if Maguire's not fit, we'll definitely go to 3 at the back with Walker, then Stones.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mings should be on the left.
Yeah, again, I think for them too, it's a toss-up. If we were playing against a more mobile attack, Mings is better because he's physically more capable. But I don't think you can have enough influence or leaders in the team. And Connor Cody, Maguire, they are leaders.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Tyrone Mings isn't. I just think Cody offers just a little bit more, maybe.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So that's centre-back done.
I think Ben Godfrey's underrated.
Oh,
by the
yeah,
way.
talk about Ben
with Ben
Godfrey.
Godfrey, he's underrated there.
I think he is, but
I know he got the Young
know.
Player of the Season at Everton. I don't know who got
I
the
ju-
Player
I
of
just
the
think
Season,
he's.
Too young still.
I just
So I think there's better options.
it's just
Better
an
options.
opportunity. I mean, like again, to go back to your 1v1 defending with Wan-Bissaka, I think Ben Godfrey is in that same bracket as a centre half. There aren't many centre halves that are really good in 1v1 situations, and I think he is so good in 1v1 situations that he does offer something.
But he did go to the under-21s and they got roasted.
Well, yeah.
So-
I reckon that's AD Boothroyd's fault. To be honest,
All
because
of
the
AD
number
Boothroyd.
Yeah, the number of times that we've looked at these under 21 squads and they look insane,
Yeah.
and we get knocked out in the groups. So I don't know about that. That's a whole nother
Okay.
podcast.
Move on to left backs. This should
Yeah.
be kind of certain.
I hope so.
Chilwell and Shaw.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt.
There's no
one
question.
else.
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
move on to starting
come back to
11.
that. I was going to ask the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, so Chilwell and Shaw. Let's
Yeah.
move on to midfielders like
Yep.
centre mids
Mhm.
or cams. So I've gone with 6. So I've gone with Rice, Henderson, Phillips, Bellingham, Lingard, and Mount.
Okay. So just sort of people that we'd play central
Yeah,
midfield
yeah.
kind of, yeah? All right, so for me, I was torn. I don't know, because obviously I made this a week or so ago. For me, it depends on whether Henderson passes the fitness tests. If he
Yeah.
does, then he'd be in there for me. If not, I would replace him with Phillips. So Phillips wouldn't be in my initial squad.
Huh?
I'd have Henderson.
Sorry, wait. Have you seen Leeds play? Have you seen how comfortable this
Yeah.
guy is on the ball, bro?
I know, but this is coming back to this conversation where I don't want us playing 2 holding midfielders. I want
Yeah,
one
but-
holding and someone else to go forward.
Like Mount.
Right? So I've got Henderson and Rice to fill the sitting job.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think we need another one. And that's all it is. There are so many players I'd love to take. I just think if Henderson's not fit, Phillips goes. There's no question. But I don't want too many holding midfielders.
So who would so name your?
So then I've got
midfielders,
Henderson and Rice. I've got Mason Mount, James Ward-Prowse, and I've gone Bellingham.
Ward-Prowse is not. Nah.
For me,
He can take a wicked free kick,
This
but
is it.
he will not play.
right,
He
but
won't
this-
play.
For me, I've kind of, I don't know. We're taking a squad of 26. A lot of these guys aren't going to get game time.
Yeah.
And for me, taking him with the option, if we need a goal in the last 5 minutes of a game, we've got 5 subs. He can come on and whip in a free kick or score a screamer. He could do it, and we know his fitness is not questioned. I think I saw a stat the
Yeah,
other day.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
It's the played all the games
Yeah.
completely for 2 seasons straight.
Every minute for 2 games straight. It's
seasons
crazy.
straight, yeah.
Crazy. 2 seasons straight is crazy. So his fitness isn't in doubt.
Yeah.
And he's another leader. He's Southampton captain. He's another one that will add to the squad as a whole.
I just think, have you got Lingard in there?
No, I don't.
You don't have Lingard in there.
No, I
How
think
can you not have
It was
Lingard?
a hot streak. It was a hot streak, and over the
But
last
he's
few games
but
of
he's
the season,
nah. He was in form. He's been in form for the second half season. You might as well pick Joe Willock then.
No.
Because that could be a hot streak.
Yeah,
But-
that's why he's not there. Because
but-
it's just a hot streak.
But Lingard, you've seen it at Man United. He's been so good for United, but then obviously he dropped off.
No, he's not been good.
He has.
Come on.
He has. He's the boy. And he at West Ham he's done so well. Everyone wrote him off from nothing, and he's banging form. Yeah, and he should definitely. I think he should definitely go ahead of who did you say?
I put Bellingham.
Yeah, I've got Bellingham in there too.
So I've gone Bellingham, Ward-Prowse, Mount, Rice, Henderson.
Okay, you got less than me. I've got
Yeah,
6.
I've
I got one
spread
more.
out. I
Okay,
think the wingers maybe a bit more.
okay. Well, I definitely think Bellingham. We should talk about Bellingham. He's just.
Bellingham's just unreal.
I think if Henderson's not fit, it should be Rice and Bellingham competing for that
I'd
spot.
like to see that. Rice and Mount / Bellingham. That would be exciting. And you look
Yeah.
at the ages of those players as well. They'll be with the England squad in 4 years' time, in 8 years' time.
Yeah, ballers.
Yeah.
But I think Phillips he should go. He's very, very comfortable on the ball. We need Rice is good, but Phillips takes the ball for Leeds in such awkward positions. He's literally on the edge of the box, and he
what
takes
it
the ball, passes
You know what
it,
it is?
just calm.
He's kind of like Prince. Shout out Prince. He's kind of like Prince. There's a little bit. Only a little bit. I don't want to gas Prince up too much, but that's how Prince plays. When we're playing and he tries to get the ball at the edge of the box and turn, I just think Phillips is a little bit more effective at doing it for obvious reasons. But
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying. I didn't realise how not old Phillips is, but I thought he was sort of Mount Rice kind of age. He's
Yeah,
not.
he
He's
is,
like 26. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
That age doesn't matter.
no, I agree. International management, age shouldn't be a factor. But I don't know. For me, it's a tough call. We've got so many good players that could go. And I think there might be some other calls later on that you probably say, Phillips should go instead of this guy. But we'll see
Oh
what
dear,
happens.
I'm looking forward to that.
We'll see what happens.
Let's move on to attackers. So I'll go first.
Okay.
So should we go?
We'll go
Strikers.
and then strikers last.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wingers.
Okay.
So I got Foden,
Yeah.
Sancho, Rashford, Sterling, Grealish, and Greenwood.
I feel like on this,
Oh no,
I match all of them
Right.
apart from one.
it's Greenwood, isn't it?
It is Greenwood.
Oh
And
my
I know
days.
Here, right? There's gonna be
Is it
this.
Saka?
There's gonna be this
It's Saka.
club discussion.
Shocking.
Now, right?
It's Saka, isn't
There's
it?
going to be this club discussion.
shocking.
So here's for me, it wasn't Greenwood or Saka. I have gone Saka rather than Greenwood. It wasn't Greenwood or Saka for me. Greenwood would have filled one of my striking positions, and I'll explain why I've
Yeah,
gone with
okay.
striker, not Greenwood later on. But for me, again, it comes down to a Euros at the end of a season where injuries have been all over the place. Squad depth is going to be important. And Saka, we've seen at Arsenal, literally can play anywhere. And he has, at
So
points,
you would-
carried the team. He has
Yeah.
carried the Arsenal team.
I could not disagree with you more about not carrying Arsenal because Arsenal are dead, but Saka. So if Chilwell and Shaw get injured, you trust Saka to play left back.
It's the flexibility that he offers is he can play left wing back. He has at some points filled in at right wing back. We've got cover. I'm not saying he will, but the flexibility that he offers in a game, which means that, say, Greenwood normally plays on the right.
Right wing, yeah.
He plays on the right and he stays there the whole game. Saka can play on the right.
But you're not
Left,
looking at. But
in
Greenwood
10,
could play up top
he
as
can
well.
move around. And all I'm thinking is mid-game. I'm not saying he's going to start right and left centre, but during the game, interchanging those positions across the front just gives the defence something else to think about. Now, again, whoever it is, Saka or Greenwood, we both know they're not starting, right? They're definitely further down the list in terms of the pecking order. But I just wanted to have probably a bit of club bias involved because I've watched all of the Arsenal games this season and seen how important Saka is. But the flexibility that he offers, again, I don't disagree with Greenwood because I think he probably would go as a striker for me. But
because the thing is with Greenwood, he can play right wing. He's so two-footed, a bit like me.
That's a nice little plug. Go watch the challenge.
Yeah, go watch it. But yeah, he's two-footed. He can shoot any foot he wants.
Yeah.
He plays right wing. I think he's better than Rashford up top. I think he's better than Rashford in general. That's a big call. Better than Rashford.
No, I do agree.
But Greenwood he's just unbelievable. What is he, 19?
Yeah.
And he's
two of them, I think, are 19 or 20. But as a finisher, Greenwood is unreal. Everyone said it at United as well. He's one of the best finishers they've seen. Which, I mean, he's got goals. He's bagged a lot of goals this season in the Prem. So
Greenwood's.
He's got the ability.
Greenwood should 100% go, I think. Obviously, in my opinion. Sancho obviously should go.
Yeah.
Foden, we should speak about them quickly.
Without question.
Foden's just been unreal. He's been like such a key player.
He's filled that David Silva role.
Yeah, that goal against Liverpool for City, that was just insane. Sancho, he's just, again, he's unreal for.
Yeah, he's hit form towards the end of the season at Dortmund as well.
Rashford and Sterling, they should go.
Yeah.
But again, we'll get on starting 11 later.
So they've kind of off the boil a bit recently, I think. Like Rashford was kind of anonymous during the Europa League final. Unlucky there, by the way.
I was fuming, I'm not going to lie. But Rashford, we'll talk about him later. I've got a lot to say about starting 11. And Grealish, if Grealish was fit from because he was injured for so long, I think, but he should definitely go. He's such a good option for England. We've got no other players like that. Maybe Foden, but Grealish is just unreal. All right, so moving on to the strikers. If you don't have the two I have, it's a joke.
Yeah.
So I've got Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that.
So, cool.
So that's where I've got my extra player. I think I had one less central midfielder.
So who's that?
So I've got my extra player there, and I'll explain why here, right?
Who is it?
I've gone Ollie Watkins for that third role. And now here's the reason why. If we need a goal, right, you're not bringing on Greenwood. It doesn't matter how good a finisher he is.
No.
Listen, it doesn't matter how good of a finisher he is, right? Kane's not coming off. There's no way that's happening. If you need a goal and you're kind of pumping the ball into the box, you're bringing on Calvert-Lewin, right? If we want to set up defensively and protect the lead, again, it's not Greenwood that's going to come on. It's going to be a striker that's going to press.
Yeah, but you've got Kane or Calvert-Lewin anyway.
Yeah, but it's going to be a striker that's going to press and that runs the channels. And there isn't a better striker that does it, apart from Vardy, who's retired. There's not a better player than Watkins that runs the channels and presses from the front. That's the reason he's there. Realistically, that third striker's not getting a look in.
Yeah.
Because it's Kane and Calvert-Lewin. Rashford can play up top. That's the only reason that Watkins is there for me. You could take Greenwood for tournament experience down the line, but I think just having that defensive option, that's why Watkins is there for me, to run the channels if we need to just protect the lead, put him on, run around. He's not going to score, but he's there almost as a defensive option. Now that might be pessimistic to say just try and protect the lead, but I don't know. That's why I'd take it.
Watkins has had a good season, but I just think you don't need him. He's very, in my opinion, he's very similar to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He holds it up. He's good in the air. He can, as I said, he can hold it up. But I think Greenwood should be the third choice striker. Greenwood in those tight little spaces can do so much more than Watkins. Watkins can hold it up, and we've got Calvert-Lewin and Kane for that.
Yeah, I think it came down to me. When I made this team, I had kind of brackets around the players that I'd replace. The defence was pretty much sorted. It was Mings or Cody, and obviously you've gone both. I then looked at the midfield and Henderson or Phillips. I don't think we need them both. So again, you've gone Phillips, I didn't. But then up top it was Greenwood or Watkins. And I just think to offer something different rather than just replace the same type of player, that's the only reason I went Watkins. But I could see why Greenwood could go.
So we chose some wild cards as well.
Yeah, we did, yeah. When Pope got injured and Johnston is going to get called up, I would throw in an experienced player for that third keeper spot, because the third keeper never plays, ever. I don't think there's any value really in taking a young goalkeeper, because Henderson's going to be the England goalkeeper for years. So there's not a young keeper to take.
Yeah.
So for me, someone with tournament experience, a complete wild card, potentially Joe Hart.
That's actually quite a good shout. He's a good leader as well. Everyone like at Man City rates him like high, but I didn't actually think of that. I'm not gonna lie, you've done me on that. But I chose Ramsdale because I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't think of anyone else.
Yeah, I mean we don't have. I mean, you look at the other keepers we've got, and
Heaton.
it's just more of the same. Yeah, it's more of the same.
And he's been linked with Man United.
Well, he's going to go. He'll go and sit there and be your third choice keeper. Lee Grant replaced by Tom. I mean, it's an upgrade. I don't know why you need it.
Yeah.
But again, that's a
Choose
whole
Ben
other
Foster
story.
instead.
I mean, he's got a great YouTube channel. He does have a great YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one would turn down that collab.
Yeah, I know.
Defenders wildcard. Who would you choose?
So again, because it's a wild card, I've gone kind of rogue. I've not tried to go obvious choices. I've gone anyone that is in the original 33-man squad. I've completely disregarded because they're not a wild card. So for my centre back, I've gone for a centre back. I think left and right back, there's not really any other options. Someone that's just not talked about at all. Little bit of club bias. I've gone Rob Holding. Right? Because having watched all of the Arsenal games recently.
Whatever you're drinking, I want to be drinking that.
It's just water, I swear. When we've watched the Arsenal games recently, he isn't making individual errors. If teams are breaking down Arsenal, it's never an individual error from him, and I feel like he's reliable just as someone to have in the squad. I don't know who have you?
I have Ezri Konsa.
Okay, do you know what? That's a better shout.
I think Ezri Konsa's done really well. I think it was between Konsa and Cody, but I think because Cody's more, he can play in a back three, and
Konsa didn't get in the squad, did he?
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
So I think Konsa, and he's young.
Yeah.
I thought he was in the first season when Villa nearly went down. I thought he was rubbish.
Yeah.
I thought, what is this guy doing in the Prem?
Yeah.
But then last season, his partnership with Mings was just Villa did really well.
Yeah.
But I think Konsa, I think he should be in the team in the future.
Yeah, I can see
So,
it. I guess if I was playing devil's advocate, my argument would be how much is Konsa and how much is Mings sort of talking and directing him through stuff. Whereas, I don't know, the Arsenal defence is awful. So Rob Holding, when he plays well, it's because it's him.
This does contradict my point, but Mings has made a few errors in the season, and I think Konsa has covered him. But I still think, Mings is more of a reliable centre back than Konsa.
Do you know what, I think
He just seems more calm.
Defending as a whole, I think, has taken a different dimension recently. It used to just be defend at all costs, throw yourself in front of the ball, outnumber the attackers. I think I heard Carragher and Neville talking about this. Whereas now defending is 1v1. You want good 1-against-1 defenders, and I think Mings, Konsa, I think they are very good 1v1 defenders. So I could see that. I think that is it's definitely a better shout than mine.
Yeah, Rob Holding, shocking.
It's just a better shout, right? It's a better shout.
Let's move on to the next one. So midfielders, wild card. I chose James Maddison.
Okay.
Because he's been injured, so that's why I didn't include him in my squad. If there were no injuries in a perfect world, he would have been in there.
Right.
I think ahead of Lingard,
Okay.
because he hasn't played as much football. I don't think, but he's definitely ahead of Ward-Prowse for me.
Right.
Ward-Prowse is good, but Maddison's more like the flair player you need up top, like in the cam role. I think he can take a wicked free kick. He can take long shots. He's really creative for Vardy at Leicester. But so that's why I think Maddison should is my wild card.
Okay. I think for me, Maddison would be he's hot and cold. Like he never just has a 7 out of 10 game. He's either anonymous and he's on like a 5 out of 10, or he runs the show and man of the match performance. Whereas I think Ward-Prowse is just more sort of stable. He very rarely has a bad game. He can occasionally run the show. So my wild card, I think I've taken the term wild card a bit more literally, because Maddison was spoken about potentially being in the squad. What I've done with mine is I've tried to just think completely outside the box. So Joe Hart, Rob Holding, they've not been mentioned about being included. So I kind of had two. I went, and again, this genuinely just because they've not been mentioned at all. I originally said Smith Rowe.
That's not a bad shout. Not a bad
on the
shout.
again, similar to Saka, I suppose, but he's run the show since January when he came in at Arsenal. He's run the show. Brilliant defensively as well for an attacking player. Just because he's not been mentioned, I think Maddison's a good shout, but he was mentioned quite heavily about will he go, won't he go. But then you mentioned him earlier. The finish that he's had to the season as a complete wild card, I did say potentially Willock. Purely 7 in 7 at the end of the season, not had a look in at all. But, he's not been mentioned. So I thought wild card, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But why not take a chance?
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to the attackers wild card. This was hard because there's a few between, for me, Watkins. He maybe had a chance, but I chose Bamford.
Okay.
People don't really rate Bamford. His pressing.
Yeah.
People saying he's not lethal.
Yeah.
But he presses so much. These players talk about that murder ball thing that they have.
Yeah.
And Bamford initiates the press for Leeds, and I think he's quicker than people think. People think he's proper slow, but I think he's actually a decent player who with technique is on point. He's so different to what we have. Well, DCL can hold it up. He's a big boy, but Bamford has got all the technique. He's got good finishing. I think he's a quality player.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Bamford's a brilliant player, and I mean the season he's had, goals and assists, he gets involved in everything. He's not just a striker. I think Bamford is just—he's a very, for me anyway. I think he is similar in style to Harry Kane,
Right.
in that you can play it up to him and he'll hold it up, but he likes to drop deeper, get involved in the build-up play, and try and be on the end of the move. For that reason, if we need a goal, he is kind of a like-for-like replacement for Harry Kane. You're not taking Harry Kane off. So, again, for me, because Bamford was spoken about, I've not spoken about that at all. What I went is I kind of went outside the box, and I had to do a bit of research on this, because I remember seeing a story. I've gone Mikel Antonio, right? Because I saw a story a few months ago, the last international break in March, I think, that he was switching his international allegiance to Jamaica. But he hasn't yet played for them, I don't believe, which means he could still represent England.
That's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout.
I think that's one that a few people probably overlook because they thought, right, he's gone, he switched his allegiance. I think he did, and then he wasn't selected, or he was injured, or for some reason he wasn't able to play. And I think he, similar to kind of why I picked Watkins, in terms of pressing, physicality, just being mean and bullying players, he would be a really useful asset to have.
I agree. I agree with that. To be fair, he's played really well this season for West Ham. To be fair, so many West Ham players have done so well.
They have. I mean, you're not that they'd get in ahead of our two left backs, but you've got Cresswell had a great season. Obviously, we've already got Rice, Lingard when he came in. So shout out West Ham. Yeah, shout out West Ham.
So who's your first choice? Who starts in goal for you?
For me, I mean, I'll be honest. I was gonna say Pope. For me, Pope is just more reliable. Now that Pope is injured, I would stick with Jordan Pickford.
Okay, that's interesting. I'd go with Dean Henderson. I don't know if there's a bit of Man United bias again.
No, I don't think it is. I think you could make every possible reason that Henderson should start. For me, he just lacks the big game experience.
But Pickford, to be fair, Everton finished 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with that team, you cannot finish 10th.
No.
Pickford's got a clanger in him. So is Henderson.
He does a bit.
But I think Henderson, he's Man United's number one now.
Is he though?
He is. Have you seen? De Gea's gone.
I was looking, right, and I was thinking, De Gea played the last couple of league games, and I was thinking, okay, so this is just so that Henderson can play the Europa League and keep him happy. And then De Gea played the Europa League, and I thought
De Gea played the last few league games to get him sharp for the Europa League final. That's what my thinking was anyway.
I mean, I hope so. I hope Henderson stays United number one because he deserves it, and we need good English keepers. So I hope so. As you say, I think they do both have an error in them.
Yeah.
But for me, Pickford's better with his feet. Southgate obviously wants to try and play out from the back.
Then why would Pope be your guy? Because he can't play with his feet. You saw him.
Me, the benefits of Pope outweigh the negatives. Yeah. That's his only negative. But Pope is the best English keeper we've got by a mile. Coming, being demanding, taking crosses. And I think as a team, we do struggle aerially.
Yeah.
And I think Pope would completely just counteract that, come out, take the crosses. But I just think they both have an error. Pickford will be more settled because he's been on the big stage before, whereas Henderson, he hasn't. He didn't play the Europa League final. I don't know if he's played other club finals. I don't think he has, but he's not been in that position before, and it's just a risk. That's my personal opinion.
But players got to start playing in a tournament at some point.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So the back four would be, I think, Walker at right back, Stones, Maguire, if Maguire's fit, and then Shaw. But if Maguire's not fit, I think Trent should play right wing back, Walker at right centre back, Stones, Mings, and still Shaw. What would you say?
I think I'm going to pick my team based on what I think Southgate's going to do. He's going to play 3 at the back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick 3 at the back as well and try and say how I would play it. So I would, very similar to you, Maguire. I would have Walker at right centre back because he covers Maguire's complete lack of pace. Trent at right wing back. Shaw at left wing back. The season that he's had's been unreal, and he's played consistently. Chilwell's been rotated constantly with Alonso. And then my last decision, I guess, then is left centre back. Do I want to go with John Stones or Connor Cody? Because we want a left-footed player, is what we were saying earlier, right? You want that left-footed left centre back. I probably would stick with John Stones still because he
Stones 100% starts.
He has the ability on the ball. The only reason it's not that he's not a good player. It's just having that ability with your left foot to open the pitch up rather than...
If Maguire was fit, you play him in...
Maguire goes in the middle of a back 3.
Nah.
Yeah, he goes in the middle of a back 3 because he has no pace. So you need cover around the outside of him.
I think Maguire should play on the left of the back 3. That's what he did in the last World Cup. So Maguire, Stones, and Walker at right centre back. Maguire played left centre back, and you got Shaw to cover him. You got Stones to cover him, and then you got the 2 and then Walker could press up the field.
Well, that's the thing. If you're playing fullbacks, the fullbacks will get forward and they will get caught out of position, and you're then basically leaving a 2v2, Maguire. And
But then you got your
Stones.
DMs to hold there as well.
Well, that's the thing. They have to get through a lot of work. And for me, playing a back 3, I'd only have 1 defensive midfielder. So I'm guessing we might change or we might differ in that respect. We'll find that in a second, obviously. But
As a 4, I play Rice.
Yeah.
And if Henderson's fit, which he's not,
Yeah.
I still take Henderson, obviously,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
of course,
in my
yeah.
squad. I play Phillips because you got Rice who's really active,
Yeah.
and then Phillips can take the ball in the half turn.
Yeah.
He can ping it out wide. His long ball is a joke.
Yeah.
He accepts the ball in ridiculous positions for Leeds. I know I'll come back to this, but that is so important. You can't be calm under pressure.
Yeah.
So that's why I put Phillips and Rice in the holding role there.
so for me then, because I've got 3. Now that makes sense. Now you playing a back 4 makes sense because you're playing 2 holding midfielders that are going to protect the kind of lack of pace that we've got. So that makes sense, and I can see the logic behind that. With my back 3, obviously I want Shaw and Trent to bomb forward because they're 2 of the most creative players in the Premier League. So I'd only have 1.
They earned you a lot of fancy points, no?
They did, yeah. I did quite well in that, by the way. So I think that my defensive midfielder would be Henderson because he's a leader. He does it so well for Liverpool. We can see the effect that it's had. Him and Fabinho sitting allow the rest of them to bomb on. Henderson's probably not fit, obviously. So you've gone Rice and Phillips. I would go Declan Rice. Obviously, I don't have Phillips in my squad, but I'd go Declan Rice because he's done it. He's done it for
Just on his own, or
yeah. Well, I'd play 2 midfielders, but Declan Rice would be my holder.
Yeah.
I would probably then play Mason Mount next to him because he can play like an 8, get up and down. He does muck in. He's creative, good stamina.
I still think you need those 2 DMs. I'm not gonna lie. I think what I would do, I would play what I did. I mean, play Mount at cam.
Right.
So we're not doing what Man City do, where we play 1 DM and 2 cams.
Yeah. So you've kind of got like a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, basically. And then, I play Mount at cam instead of making him hold with Rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do personally.
I mean, I can see the logic again behind it. If I went with a 4, I don't think my team so far would be much different to yours. If you're playing a 4, I think having 2 holders makes sense. I just think Southgate's going to go with a 5 at the back. So I've gone 5 on that logic. If we have 5 at the back, there's no reason to have 2 holding players. Someone then has to drop deeper and play from deep, get on the ball and drive with it. And I think Mason Mount has done that at Chelsea. He's not always played in a 10. He's not always played on the wing. Sometimes he's playing alongside Jorginho or Kovacic. And I think he does do a good job of pushing the team on. So
I
I'd have
think-
him sitting in next to Rice, and they get on well.
Yeah,
they're
that's
good
true.
friends as well. So
Because against Croatia, they got Modric, Rakitic, Kovacic, Brozovic,
yeah,
Badel, whatever his name is, who
Yeah,
plays.
yeah.
I don't know who he plays for, but they got an incredible midfield, and they got like Perisic on the wing. I don't even know who's up top. Kramaric. So stack the midfield with like not all DMs,
Yeah, yeah.
but like we need that defensive cover in the midfield because they have just unbelievable ball players
yeah. I
in the
guess
midfield.
That's the thing is, they're better on the ball technically, and we gave them I think too much respect when we played them in 2018, and that's why they beat us because we didn't get on top of Modric and Rakitic early. They're now in their
But I don't know
mid to
how
late-
how much Rakitic has dropped though.
No, mid to late 30s, those guys now. I know obviously they're still at the elite level, but we should be able to,
Outrun them.
outrun them, be more physical, get into them, even if that's Mason Mount, it doesn't matter. They have the stamina and the ability, hopefully, to overrun them in the midfield. But I don't know, I guess we'll see.
Moving on to the attack.
Yeah.
So no brainer up top is
No,
Kane.
Harry Kane, yeah. There's
100%.
no question, yeah. The wingers.
Wingers. Name me your wingers.
So I think I would play it. I don't know. It'd be interesting. For me, I would have one side, probably the left, which would be the kind of not quick but creative kind of player. So for me, it's a 50-50 between Grealish and Foden on that side because they'll get on the ball.
Grealish hasn't played much. He
in
only
tight-
literally just started playing again.
in tight space. And again, this is dependent on fitness tests and the warm-up games, seeing that they get through it. If Grealish shows that he's fit, he starts ahead of Foden for me because I know Foden's had a great season, but Grealish, every team will be scared of playing Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
The amount of fouls that he picks up, he can get the ball out of such tiny spaces, and his end product is so good. So for me, if he's fit and he's capable, Jack Grealish starts on the left so that he can cut in and be creative. That means then on the right, I want someone that's got a little bit more about them,
Yeah.
probably a bit of pace. I think it has to be Sterling. I don't think he's had a good end to the season.
Sterling
But-
does not get anywhere near this starting 11.
I don't think he's had a good end to the season, but there's no doubt that he has experience. He's got, for me, the best coach in the world at Guardiola. He will be able to do things that other players won't. Now, for me, the argument there, it's not Rashford for me at all. It's Sancho or Sterling. Pacey, able to beat a man 1v1. I can see potentially Sancho in that role, but for me, I probably would go Grealish, Kane, and then Sterling.
Wow. Okay. For me, Sterling gets nowhere near. He doesn't even play a game.
So there's no big club bias here at all.
No.
Man United
No.
fan saying
Rashford doesn't.
the Man City player
Rashford does
nowhere
not get in the starting 11. Nowhere near. Sterling shouldn't even play, in my opinion.
That's a big call.
Nah,
That's a
yeah,
big call.
I know.
But he shouldn't. I cannot feel more strongly about Sterling not playing. He should go because he's got experience and everything, but he should not start. Should not come off the bench. We have so many good ball players, and you want to get just a rapid winger who he can't really turn. He can take on a defender by kicking it past him and running after it. Yes, but these defenders are clever.
Right, but here's my logic with that. And again, Greenwood, Sancho, Sterling, Rashford, they're all similar enough in terms of they're quick players, their end product lacks, their decision making isn't fantastic. But I think you have to have someone that can stretch them in behind. Kane's not quick enough to do that. If I'm playing Grealish on one side, he's not got the pace to get in behind. It's just to make the defenders think.
Yeah, I feel
Drop
you.
off a little bit, give us something else to offer.
I've got
Foden on the right
Yeah.
and Sancho on the left.
Interesting. So we're very different there. Everything else we're kind of
Yeah.
similar-ish. We're very
Sterling,
different there.
I cannot feel stronger about Sterling not playing a game. Rashford, even though I support Manchester United, he does not get anywhere near the starting 11,
No.
especially after the Europa League final,
Yeah.
where he's
kind
done
of
nothing.
Yeah, agreed.
Who else is in there? I mean, that's it actually. Sancho and Foden. Sancho has played so well for Dortmund. He's created so many chances
Yeah.
for Haaland, scored so many goals.
That's the thing that I can't comment on as much. Obviously, I'm quite into the Premier League,
Yeah,
but
me too.
foreign football, I'm not as sure about. All I'd be doing is looking at the stats of Sancho.
Yeah.
When he's played for England, he's not yet shown the sort of individual brilliance that he probably has at Dortmund. And that's why I would have doubts about throwing him in a big tournament straight away, especially doing that and Foden, two players that haven't
they're just
been
raw. They're
level.
raw.
No fear. Like, this is their first tournament. I'm not saying no one knows about Sancho.
No, of course not.
But defenders might not know how to play him differently compared to like a Rashford, where everyone's seen Rashford, everyone's seen Sterling. Rashford and Sterling cannot start. Rashford off the bench, Sterling should not play.
I just don't agree with that. I think over the last couple of years, I don't think his end.
Have you seen the team he's been in? Have you seen the tap-ins he's scored? That is all.
I don't think the end of season for Sterling has been helpful. I think his confidence is probably low. He's been, booted down the list at City. Mahrez plays ahead of him. Foden, Bernardo Silva. So he's down the list.
So how can you play him? I know they are incredible players, but he hasn't played the games to warrant to start.
For me, he's got the big game know-how. We all know the infamous incident at the 2018 World Cup. He should have squared it to Kane. We all know that. But he's the kind of player that will learn from that. He's had an extra 3 years with Guardiola, who, again, for me, at improving players and structurally setting up, he is one of the best managers going ever. To have that know-how, knowledge and ability, I mean, there's no doubting he's a great player. He might not be on form right now, but there have been plenty of occasions where a player's come into a tournament, not necessarily club form, doing brilliant, but...
I disagree with that. He's not a great player. He's a good player who plays in a very good team with amazing players around him. Yes, he scores many goals, but have you like the Sane tap-ins? That is all he does.
I disagree. I think he's much better than a good player. And if you're going to bring someone on,
it is not Sterling. It can't.
Not Rashford.
I pick Rashford ahead of Sterling.
It's not Rashford. It's not for me. I think that's the rest of it. I think I can see where you're coming from. If you want to have two holders, I can see playing Mason Mount in the 10. But this Sterling debate, I mean, you guys can let us know in the comments. What would you do? I mean, you can go Foden or Sancho, or you can go Grealish and Sterling. What would you do? Let us know in the comments. But I think at that point, there's agree to disagree.
Yeah, I don't think we can come to a solution.
Yeah, there's not going to be a compromise there.
Yeah,
really.
Because I'm so adamant that Sterling does not start. He doesn't play. So
I could see Sancho playing. I have to say, I could see Sancho playing, but. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? How do you think we're going to get on, really, if you had to try and say it? I know it's dependent on groups and how they match
I think we'll win the group. I think we will win the group.
Yeah.
And then, depending, we will have to play Germany, Portugal, or France in the last 16.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's either, then it'll be like a Spain, because I did like the UEFA prediction thing.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it was then Spain. And then it was then Germany in the semis, and then it was someone random in the final. So I don't know. I'm looking at this Portugal team. Yeah, I'm looking at all the other teams. They've got Bruno, they've got Bernardo, they've got Ronaldo, they've got Jota, they've got João Felix. I'm looking at France. They got Benzema back.
This is the thing. I think a lot of people are focusing on the attacking ability in a lot of these squads. But if you look defensively, I don't know how Spain have left Sergio Ramos out. I don't know. He's not injured. He's not played a lot recently. Right. But someone like Sergio Ramos, you take even if he's not fully fit, surely.
Yeah.
No Real Madrid players in that team.
This is the thing. That's crazy as well.
Because Luis Enrique, that's why.
Defensively, true. Ex-Barca.
Laporte. They got Laporte though. That's a big one.
That was a big move from France to Spain. That was a big move. I think looking defensively at some of these teams, we can get at them.
Yeah, of course.
But that's the thing. If we try and sit back and defend, they're going to destroy us. The players you've got, you just listed the Portugal players. I mean, you look at Germany as well. I mean, if they get Timo Werner firing, he's been bang average this year, and he's been terrible. Well. But the attacking players that those teams have, France, Pogba, if he hits form.
Pogba, Kante, then they got, Coman, Mbappe, Benzema.
Griezmann as well is in there. They've got so many teams. If we try and sit back, we are going to get battered. Yeah. I think we have to try and push out and cause them problems.
Phillips is the guy, because he takes the ball in ridiculous positions. And that's why Sterling does not start, because you've got these tight little spaces. Sancho is a dribbler, yeah. Sterling dribbler as well, but he cannot operate in these small spaces. He needs, like Rashford, the space.
This is the thing. This is where I think Sancho is a different player to Sterling, because Sterling's a dribbler in tighter situations than Sancho. Sancho is a good player. When he's got space to run at someone, he can do tricks and beat his man quite easily. Whereas I feel Sterling, in tighter situations, is better than Sancho.
I can't disagree with that.
I don't know. I just... It depends. If you're trying to feed the ball to feet and letting Sancho pick up speed and run at someone, he is the better player. But getting the ball in a tight situation, I think Sterling just offers you a little bit. Can come short and go in behind. But again, I think we have to attack. I think we're both in agreement on that. I don't think any of you guys watching, want us to sit and defend and score and win 1-0. I mean, don't get me wrong, if we won the Euros...
1-0, 1-0, 1-0. I'll take that all day.
Happily,
all day.
No, but I don't know. I think we have to attack, surely. We have to get out there on the front foot.
And also, just a quick one. I don't think Southgate's the guy to take us forward, I'm just saying. But
interesting. So, I mean, we're on the topic. This is the England podcast. So, who do you think is...
I don't know.
Who's out there? Would you necessarily go English? There's been a lot of debate in the past about it has to be an English manager.
There's no elite English managers at the moment. What are you going to take? Steve Bruce?
You know, I agree. Who are you looking at? You're looking at Gerrard, Lampard, Eddie Howe.
Lampard, no way. When Lampard got the Chelsea job and he was midway through that job, he was not the guy.
No, I agree.
How does Lampard deserve to go from Derby, legend, that's why, to Chelsea?
I agree. It was to get the fans on the side.
Shocking manager.
I think Tuchel's come in and completely shown how average Frank Lampard was.
Lampard had no idea what he was doing. I'm not saying I had any idea what to do with Chelsea, but Lampard is not the guy. Gerrard, he could be the guy because he's taken an average Rangers team like 3 years ago to smoke Celtic now. But
again, I mean, we could be triggering a lot of you guys down in the comments. I mean, there's some very opinionated comments here.
Should start.
I agree. I think Lampard is be interesting to see what job he takes next.
I think he'll go Palace.
There's a lot of talk about Palace, for example. And again, we are filming this before the Champions League final, which is tonight.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Chelsea get on in that. But I do think Tuchel's done such a good job. And I agree, I don't think there is any elite English managers that spring to mind straight away that I would want in charge of the national team.
Yeah.
So then where you go from there in terms of international...
That's a whole other debate.
I've got no idea.
Yeah, that's the whole debate.
Yeah, as you say, whole nother...
That will be like 2 hours long, this podcast.
I know, we could keep going for ages.
Yeah.
It's just whole nother story.
So that's the end. Thank you for joining me on my first podcast.
No, you're welcome, man. I've really enjoyed it. I mean, the weather's held up, and as I said, opinionated. But you know, surely that's what makes a good podcast.
So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Join me next time on the Chinwag podcast. See you later for more.
It's coming home, by the way. It is coming home.